Hey legends, so we are in the office slash daycare center slash playroom slash music room today. Bit of a longer form video. We're going to go into how to achieve holistic success by managing your time and aligning with your vision. So in this video, we'll go through identifying and maintaining your energy, the power of daily alignment with your vision, how to build momentum through consistent action, and then also some tools in which to shift from a reactive state to a proactive state when it comes to your energy management, when it comes to the challenges that you face in your day-to-day lives. Life can be very simply boiled down to have a vision and take consistent actions in alignment with that. So in every decision, in every choice, in every time we go to show a behavior, asking yourself, is this in alignment with my vision or not? Yes or no? And if we all live by those principles, life will be very, very simple. Coaches wouldn't probably have a job, but at the end of the day, life can really be boiled down to those kind of things, right? Then we sort of start to overcomplicate things with all the different courses, processes, tools, systems, to stroke our ego and appease the neocortex within us, and we overcomplicate things when realistically a lot of most systems, tools, processes that you see in the personal development industry, in creative development, in marketing and anything are at their nuts and bolts very, very similar in process and very, very similar in their structure. So when it comes to maintaining our energy for holistic success, we're going to hold the premise today that we have three main ways in which we put energy out into the world. We have energy that's going to the past, the present, and the future. And as just people in general, we want to try and make sure that we have more energy in the present and the future than we do in the past, right? So if we have energy going back to the past, then we're going to be, one, lowering the level at which we can create, because our creative capacity or our creative energy to put into the present in what we're doing in the moment and in the future is going to be reduced. But also we're going to recreate those things. So coming from the understanding that where our focus goes, our energy flows, and where our energy flows is what we create. So if we have things in the past that are still harping on our mind, still taking up memory, then we're going to recreate those things, but we're also not going to be able to create at the highest level possible. So we want to make sure that we start to identify where we have energy going back. And you'll understand this principle if you get to the end of the week and you've got a mountain of tasks that you haven't completed, right? That weighs on your mind, that memory is there. It takes up capacity, it takes up storage. Our brains are supercomputers, right? So no different to the hardware on your computer at home. Our thoughts, our tasks, our memories, our traumas, they all take up memory within that framework, right? Some of them consciously, a lot of them subconsciously, but they still take energy. They still take energy to manifest, they still take energy to be there, and just to hold that memory of that task requires your subconscious to put energy towards it. And that then takes away from the energy that you have to put into your present task, the present moment, i.e. on the weekend being present and having fun, or the future and what you're creating. Now, for a lot of society, a lot of the energy is in either the past or the present, thinking about what could happen, what might have happened, what might have been, your fears playing out, limiting beliefs. In the present, it might just be getting through what you're doing at work, getting through your normal day. A lot of people that I come across don't have a vision, right? They don't know where they're going to have a vision for themselves as a leader, as a person, a vision for their family and where they're going, a vision for what they're creating, what their career looks like, where they want to be in 10 years. So many people don't have those things. And to be honest, if you don't have those, you are just a bopping boat without a mast in the middle of the ocean of chaos. Yeah, you are just going to be putting your hand up to the universe and asking for it to take you for a ride. And it's not a very powerful place to be in. Our vision is what allows us to realign. So if we go back to what I talked about at the start of the video, making it very, very simple. Having a vision And then in the moment being able to go, is this choice that I'm about to make in alignment with that? Yes or no? Really, really simple. And if we take the time to reflect on our choices that we've already made, going, oh, well, was this in alignment? No. Okay, cool. Don't beat myself up about it. Don't run a guilt or a shame cycle. How about I actually just reflect on that and dive a little bit into the why that I made that choice? Because the more that we can do that, the more we're going to be able to reclaim some of this energy going to the past, going into those negative beliefs, those limiting beliefs, those fears, those memories. The more that we can start to do that, the more energy we're going to have to be able to put into the present, and the stronger and more capacity. So the stronger we'll feel, the more capacity that we'll have to withstand the challenges that come and the resistances that come in life. So being able to reflect, being able to identify, and then being able to just go back a little bit deeper into those moments, right? So for example, say you had a behavior where you weren't quite in alignment with your vision of who you wanted to be as a father. You know, for an example with me, say I have an outburst and I go, fuck, that's not the vision that I want to have. I want to be grounded, I want to be present, I want to allow the boys to feel, I want to allow the boys to know that they can feel their emotions and be safe, and it doesn't impact the level of love that I have for them, right? But in that moment, I didn't do that. In that moment, I reacted. Yeah, so why did I react? Okay, well, I reacted because I haven't done this task for work, and that's playing on my mind. That's actually taking capacity away from me being able to be present, because a lot of my energy's in that and my mind's there. Okay, well, that's a great learning piece. That's a great informational piece. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, and it comes back to that choice. You then have that awareness, and then you can choose to do something different, right? So that there is great awareness and a great example of, yes, we were reactive to start with, but we can learn from that, and then we can mine the gold of that situation and then pull ourselves back out of it to be able to start to take more and more steps in alignment with that vision. But if I didn't have a vision of who I was and where I was going, then in that moment, it just is. You know, I just react because I do, and it doesn't have an impact on anything going forward, and it doesn't have an impact on my vision, and it doesn't have an impact on me, and so that pattern repeats. You know, and that becomes the norm, because I don't have any realignment tool or anything that I need to realign to. Pardon me. That I don't have any power to realign to, and that's the power of your vision, right? That's the power of that, having a vision as a tool to be able to realign yourself with. So before we move on, we want to make sure that we are recapturing. So if you've got tasks on your list that have been sitting there for months, conversations to have with your partner or friends, jobs that you haven't done around the house, all of those things, as soon as you say that I need to do that, your memory creates a storage system, it creates energy, it uses energy to create that storage, to create that memory, and that takes away from the capacity that you have to create in the present. And this is going to affect your relationships, it's going to affect your mood, it's going to affect your ability to show up in all of the aspects of your life. So, super, super important that we start to reclaim energy from the past, bring it back into the present or the future, you know. And I like to use a process where if I reclaim something from the past, so I have a trauma or a conversation that I haven't had that I've needed to have, or a task that I haven't done that I've needed to done, when I complete that task, I like to be intentional with where that energy goes. And so whatever that task has led to, or is feeding, or is building, I want to put that energy into that task. Sit down in my mind and see and visualize that energy going to that, or that energy going to that vision, right? So if it's a behavior or something that's not in alignment with my vision, and I work through the trauma that's associated with that, I like to envision that when I work through and process that emotion, I reclaim that energy back into me, and then I intentionally put it into holding that vision of myself, that vision that I have for me, and I put that energy into that, right? So that's just my process. Welcome to use it. Welcome to give it a crack. So when it comes to alignment with our vision, so if this is just neutrality, and this is our vision over here. So this is the power of having a vision. So one of the things that we do with my clients is in every morning we connect in with our vision, and we do a couple of things in alignment with that for the day. We write down our tasks and we nail that. And what that does is it just constantly puts us into touch with that vision and constantly gives us a chance, then an opportunity to reframe and reposition. Because if we're coming along in life and at every opportunity we get a crossroads, if we choose to go this way, then we're just taking a step out of alignment with our vision. So that may be one day, and then we keep going along, and then what you'll find that most people do is that because they don't have a vision, they continue to just take steps out of here, steps out this way, steps out this way. And then all of a sudden something will snap them back into their senses, or give them a bit of a wake-up call, a trauma or an event, or someone in their friendship group might say, hey, what are you doing? That's really out of alignment. Look at what's going on. And you realize just how far away you are from your vision. And this is where a lot of people go, man, it's just too hard. It's a long way back from here. I'm just going to settle in this space. I'm just going to be comfortable with what I've got. I'm just going to settle here. It's not my vision, but it's a nice enough life, and I'm going to be pretty happy in that space, because the level of work it takes to get back to that vision is long, right? I'm a believer that negative behaviors, negative energy compounds bigger than positive energy, right? It's so much easier to break a positive habit and put it back into a negative space really quickly than it is to break a negative habit. And for me, that's because I believe that negative energy sits heavier, is more dense, and therefore it takes longer to clear and longer to bring back into alignment. But once you're in that positive energy, once you really have that solid and set, it's so much harder to shake. Yeah. So when people get to here, this is why it's so important to have our vision, so that we get to, one day removed, and then all of a sudden we go, okay, crap, that's not in alignment, so I'm going to come back this way. And then we're going to keep going, and I'm going to take another step, and then another step, and then I might take a step backwards. But that's okay, because I get every day I'm reconnecting back in with this. And so when it comes to resistance, when it comes to being out of alignment with our vision, we all get in our shit. We all get in our resistance. It happens all the time. All that happens is we get better and better tools to pull ourselves out of it, to realign, to get back creating in alignment with our vision, so that it doesn't take 6 months to pull yourself out of this shit. It takes you 3 months, and then the next time it'll take you 2 months, the next time it'll take you 1. But it starts with having a tool and a process to be able to reflect. So one of the ways in which I do this is, at the end of the day, I like to sit down and I just like to think about the day. Think to myself, where was I out of alignment? In the big decisions that I made today, were they moving me toward my vision, or were they not? Okay, what are the lessons that I can learn from that if they weren't? Why did I not do that? Okay, I might be in some fear around this. I might have a limiting belief in this space. I might need to ask someone for help. Or it might be, I didn't get that done because, kids were unwell. Okay, cool. Don't beat yourself up over that. Let's just make sure we start to action it and we don't lose it, and we don't let it just sit there taking up energy for the next 3 weeks. So that's a powerful process of reflection, and something to just get your mind in this self-improvement space. And then every morning, just connecting back into this vision. And that's why the vision is so important. If you don't have a vision, you need to get one. When it comes to family, when it comes to yourself, like who you want to be as a leader, who you want to be as a man or a woman, who you want to be as a leader within the community, who you want to be in your career, where you want to go in your career. What does that look like in 10 years? Because that's the guiding light, that's the structure that enables you to realign yourself when, because you're human and we're all human, you inevitably get into your resistance and things come up and challenges come up, and that all starts to come to the surface. And this is how we start to build that momentum towards our vision. So over time, when we do this consistently, all of a sudden this middle ground, or this baseline, starts to shift, yeah? It's going to shift either way. So if we can program our mind to be in a positive space, to take action towards our vision, we start to build that momentum. You kind of can't. Yeah. No. There you get the picture. You can see it. We start to build that momentum and our baseline of neutrality shifts. So how far we go back starts to shift. So if we look at this from a point of this is baseline, then all of a sudden my baseline might be here. And I can go along at this part for the time being, and I can start to take steps again in alignment with my vision, and start to move forward and move that baseline again. Vice versa, if I consistently take steps away from my vision, that middle ground is going to start to shift, and that baseline is going to start to shift over to the left. And that's not a place that we want to be in, because that's a vicious cycle of self-sabotage and dysfunctional behaviour that we need a lot of support to break from. So all of these tools just allow us to shift that mindset from reactive to proactive, yeah, to being able to be really grounded in the way in which we approach life and the way in which we approach our challenges, so that when a challenge does present ourselves, we can sort of go, okay, well, what is this challenge? What is it challenging in regards to my vision? Is it identity, a story, a belief? Is it a behavior? Is it an attitude? What is it sort of like bringing up for me? And then what's the step to take or the choice to make in alignment with my vision? We're not always going to choose the right way. And a lot of times, you know, all of us choose to act in out of alignment with our vision from time to time. And that's part of being human, and that's part of being going on the growth journey. And what's important is that we, one, have support systems and support networks around us to be able to move forward from that point and pull ourselves back out of it. But that we also don't beat ourselves up about it, and that we understand that part about this journey is about just getting better and better in that space. So that when those challenges come up, not only do we have a support system, but we also have supporting evidence for our mind to show that we can work through these challenges, and that even though the outcome may seem difficult right now, or the vision may seem a long way away, if we can take consistent action towards that, then we have information to show us that we're going to be fine, we're going to move through, regardless of whether we make the right choice or not. We still want to be taking steps. Yeah, we don't want to get stuck and paralyzed by our fear of never reaching our vision, or by creating the wrong step or taking the wrong step. We need to take those steps too, right? They're lessons. And one of the most powerful reframes for me in this space was seeing every challenge, every hurdle, every obstacle is just a lesson that my higher self has put in place for me to be able to reach this vision, to make sure that with whatever I have to face along the journey is I'm ready for, right? So if we think about ladders of expansion and resistance, which I've talked about before, so if this is the ladders and the step ladders to my vision, my higher self puts in all of these challenges for me to work through in order to unlock that next level of power. And as soon as I started to see these as just stepping stones along that evolutionary train, or in that evolution space, then all of a sudden those challenges didn't seem so big. They were just lessons, they were just things that I knew that I'd put in place for myself to make sure that when I got to here, I was ready for that and what that looked like, yeah? So that when you get to here, you don't have something, 2 or 3 things down here that you haven't worked on, but all of a sudden you just crumble back like snakes and ladders, like, right? You just come back on the snake and you back down to here. We don't want to do that, and we don't want to bypass either. We don't want to have these lessons presented to ourselves and then bypass, because then if we bypass here, then we just start creating a different ladder. And no matter how hard we try, that variation will never be as good as the vision. And so many people will understand this and experience it, where we've been out of alignment, or we make a choice out of alignment with our vision and our goals and who we are, and we settle, yeah? And this is where you start to settle, and this is where I was when I was in the mining industry. I was creating good life, creating a set for life position. Most people thought I was mad when I left that space, but I never would have been able to reach the vision of what I really want to create in that real fulfilling space if I wasn't prepared to work through that lesson, and it took me until sort of up here to realise that lesson down here, I got to here and I had to go all the way back, and that snake and ladder effect, I had to go back down to there, but from there, now I'm back on this path which is in alignment with my vision, and so that's why it's so important to shift that mindset, reframe that into these are just lessons, these are just hurdles that I need to overcome in order to stay on the path towards my vision. And also understand that if you do take a sideways step and you realise it, wherever you realise it, you can always go back and find that point of being on the vision again, and really start to climb that fulfillment ladder and go from there. So key takeaways: if you don't have a vision, have a vision. And not just a vision for what you want to create from a career point of view, but from a family point of view, you as a person point of view, your values, your standards, your beliefs, your career, your wealth, your finances, all of those kind of things. Have a vision for what that looks like so you can start to take steps towards it. And it can feel a little bit overwhelming at the start, but just start with one, get that down packed, work back from there, structure it out. So what does that look like? Does it look like me having Netflix to be able to create that level of wealth? Probably not, because what does Netflix lead to? It leads to distraction. It leads to me disconnecting from the stuff that I need to do, which then banks up all of the stuff in the back of my mind, because I just have this growing list of stuff that I just keep disconnecting from. So instead of doing it, I put another movie on and keep disconnecting, hoping that it'll go away, but it never goes away. So having that vision really allows you to align your life in a way that is taking steps towards that. And that's so important. It means that you have something to realign yourself. It means that you have that anchor. So if you don't have a vision, start there. That's going to be the catalyst for everything else. And then be really protective of your time and your energy. Make sure that the choices that you're making, the people that you're spending time and giving energy to are in alignment with this vision. They're in alignment with your values. They're in alignment with your behaviors, with your standards, with what you're trying to create across all of those parts of your vision. And if they're not, have that conversation. This is where this is impacting. If you want to be a part of this, then this is where it needs to change. This is what needs to happen, because I'm not willing to sacrifice this vision for anyone else, right? So, yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Big love to you. Big love to your family. Have a blessed rest of the day, evening, whenever you do watch this.